I'm doing the intro?
You did it last week, right?
Ah, okay. I guess I did.
You're our glorious leader, so.
Yes. Well, welcome, episode God knows who. We started this podcast like 20 different times. But this is the second time me and John going at it. Hopefully, the first time was educational for everybody, if not funny. So, welcome again. Thank you for joining us. We're coming from a very busy week at EMS. I think we're going to talk about that. Memorial weekend is coming.
Absolutely.
Any plans?
Nothing crazy, no. Relaxing after this week more than anything.
Not to be crazy. Plans are plans.
Yeah. Maybe some steaks on the grill, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Might go see a baseball game tomorrow.
That's right. Well, the NBA playoffs are on, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The Knicks, my team, they're killing it. And mark this, I'm going to be recorded, so we'll come back to this. Knicks are going to sweep Cleveland.
Okay.
This is a bold statement, maybe even a 4-1. Let's say Cleveland steals the game and play whoever they're playing in the West and just get slaughtered. That's what I think is going to happen. So in a few weeks, we'll come back to this podcast.
We got it marked down. We'll review it in like 2 weeks or whatever.
Don't take bets on these, by the way. This is not a betting recommendation. It's my point of view.
Just your thoughts on the situation. So
yeah, it's funny because at EMS, I think after the first night we went with the team to do some gambling, and a guy sitting next to us was watching the Knicks game, and they were down by 20-something, and he went ahead and bet on the Knicks to win, and actually made a couple of dollars on this, which is it's a crazy bet, but if you believe in your team, So we're just coming back from EMS. That was my second time. Your first. Just want to see how it went for you. Feedback?
Yeah, I think it went, pretty darn good across the board. I think, obviously, there was a lot of cool tech being shown off there. Pretty much like we talked about last week, a buttload of AI. Yeah. Everybody seemed to have something in the realm of AI, or every other booth seemed to have that, it seems. So that was definitely a big topic there. But, just like last year, a lot of cool people showing off a lot of really cool ideas and experimenting, as you might expect in that type of environment.
I think I came home with like 4 or 5 different postcards of AI, selfie, something, They're all cool, by the way. It's not like you can say one of them was not up to the standard. They're all great.
Yeah.
I'm biased, but I thought our kiosk with AI was a great activation. We had over 150 people use it. So
nice.
It was a really cool activation. But like I said, the physical print that we didn't do because we're digital, I thought it was a nice takeaway from the show. And people are kind of showing off. One company in particular, I forgot their name, but they had like an album cover.
Yeah.
And you get to choose your theme, if you're a rock singer or whatever it was, and they had a comic book cover. That was a hit. They had constant line, just to bring it back home. I thought it was cool. So I thought the crowd was evenly spread because of the sessions, which is good. It gives you like a minute to breathe, and then you get another wave of people. I thought that was good. And I thought the overall experience, not just because they cater and you have drinks and you're in the mood, was very interactive, on and off, and people felt like always they're coming back to the experience.
I like how they do that, how they bring things into the space, like they brought sushi at the end of day one and stuff like that. They'd have coffee in the halls and things like that. And there was set times in the agenda, come on and we'll do this kind of exploration in they called it the Hall of Ideas instead of the exhibit hall and things like that. I liked how they integrated that into the regular program and things like that too.
It reminded me a lot of the corporate environment. When you go to a corporate show, they cater, you feel like a king, you're you have desserts all day, coffee, drinks at the end of the day. And I guess that's who they cater, and that's kind of the audience that we interacted with. Tell me about some of the conversation you had.
Yeah, a lot of the conversations I was having, honestly, like in our booth specifically, it seemed like everybody wanted to know about. I noticed our translucent panels came up like every other conversation. People were like, "Ooh, tell me more about these. Tell me more about that." So I was like, "Hmm," because those have been around now for a couple of years, actually, right? At this
That's
point,
right.
yeah. So I was like, I thought that was interesting that that was like the draw to most people was that tech actually, even compared to like some of the AI stuff we were showing off and whatnot.
Yeah, the one constant is from last year and this year is that when you interact with some of the attendees and they come from large and small brands and different roles within the company, was that they come with very specific ask and request,
Mm-hmm.
and so that when they see something unique like the translucent and some of the LED archway we did with the interactive activation, they can take that technology and kind of give you a live example how they would use it at their show, which I thought was very cool, very engaging because you have a conversation about something that could potentially happen. You go to some of the shows like the CES of the world. There's a lot of futuristic stuff that not always going to be used at a show, but I think that some of the attendees that I interacted with, we talked about actual use study at their show and what they can do with it, how content will run, what the setup looks like. Even inquire about cost to know if it's within their budget. So I think that's what the biggest win from that show. Those conversations for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. There was another one of my favorite experiences from that show, I'd have to say. I had a chance to stop by and had a really good conversation with them. The team at Wondermaker actually had some really cool stuff they were showing off. They had like a really cool way that they were showing off kind of like their case studies and stuff like that. They had like a little lab set up and had these like petri dishes and vials, but they did something really cool in that they loaded them with QR codes. And when you like slid it under the little scanner they had, it would pull up like a video for a specific case or something like that. I thought that was like really cool and a really unique way to show that off actually.
I thought that in comparison to other shows where we get together as industry exhibitors, exhibit houses, suppliers, a lot of the exhibit houses that came to play came out big, very creative, very innovative, a lot of cool technology. It wasn't your traditional, hey, we can help you build something the old-fashioned way. It was like showing the clients what the experiential stuff could look like, and I think they hit the point across every aisle. It's a smaller show, so you get to kind of walk and see everyone's
Hmm.
activation. But I thought everyone was on point with what they were showing at EMS this year for sure.
Absolutely. Another interesting thing I noticed too, there's been a lot of hype around like the just events and meetings ecosystem overall. I've noticed over the past couple of months, since AI has kind of like swallowed everything else over the past few months, was a few investors actually walking around that had stopped by and like were asking just more like general questions about the event space and things like that too. And that was a stark difference to the presence I had at the show last year as well, where like didn't see any of that. So I thought that was interesting to see too.
So I could tell you from other industry verticals, investors are key people in our industry, right?
Hmm.
They they'll put the money where their mouth is and drive some of the growth for some of the suppliers that we compete with. Some of the suppliers that are in different verticals in our industry. But you're right. You normally see them in shows like CISO and Sam Lippman and PCMA. Um, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised
Yeah.
because a lot of the technology you saw at EMS, I think in the next few years will be the forefront of the event industry. And if you're a smart investor, you come in, before things take off. And I had an interesting conversation with one of the investor, and it's the same conversation. A lot of AI. They're using AI to showcase what a brand can do to elevate their product, their demo, and the environment, but also for the activation. If you're a brand and you have your user study a conference or your sales conference, and you want to kind of engage attendees in a different way, a very interactive way, I think the some of the examples taken from EMS are great examples, and investors just recognize that. So I'm not surprised they were there for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, um, you know, some of the big conversation we're having leading into EMS is tracking and behavior, and we obviously had our own tracking. How much do you think in a show like that, a smaller show, the tracking of the user attendance and pattern is key or not? It wasn't like you go to some shows, you got like 60, 80 aisles, and
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to understand what's happening. This is a smaller show. What do you think the value of tracking shows like that?
I think the value of tracking a show like that is you can get a lot more data on what exactly an individual person is doing inside of your booth, because of the fact that there isn't as much, massive volume coming through on a, minute by minute basis. You can kind of understand what exactly they're doing in a booth, what they're spending their time kind of focusing on, which product line that's being shown off they're kind of focusing their attention on, and things like that. I think that's the type of data you can get from a show like that a lot more, because of the fact that you're having, in my opinion at least, a lot more time with like each individual person comparatively to like a much more larger, higher volume show, I would say.
Agreed. I thought, you know, it's funny because next door there was on a Google Power Show with
Yeah,
Apps Flyer.
it's like a GTM or growth
Yeah,
type show or
it
something like
was.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, the funny thing is, you walk around with your badge and they have their badge, almost like
yeah.
a stare off. Like, what show you?
It's what are you guys
But
doing here?
yeah, but since we work in the industry, I popped into their show, really cool show. We had a couple of activations over there, and they were all about metrics. So I thought, I think metrics is here to stay. You know, event managers want to understand what happened, what's the ROI,
Hmm.
what to do better. So I think that's definitely staying. And before we walk away from EMS, which again, kudos to the Access Intelligence team. They put on a great show. I wanted to kind of pick a favorite, kind of do my own award
Oh
ceremony.
boy.
So yeah, I thought Hamilton showed up with a great design. Now we've seen it, at exhibitors, so it wasn't new for us, but I'm sure for attendees it was a really cool concept. I thought the Skyline booth was very fresh, airy, with the balls up in the air, and it felt like a
Party.
tiki bar
Yeah, yeah.
vacation, and the weather definitely supported that. I thought our booth was very engaging from an interactive digital way, and that was the purpose, right? We were there to tell a story between us and our partner for that show, Align Exhibits, of what does it look like when you combine digital and structure. Um, but I can tell you, as opposed to other shows, for me, there was no booth that you can say, oh, they didn't show up. Everyone showed up.
Hmm.
Really cool stuff. So,
Yeah, even like the tiny 10 by 10s and stuff like that. Like
sure.
those guys were bringing their A game in every respect as well. Like I said, Wondermaker was one of those, in fact.
Yeah.
So,
And I'll finish. I went to some of the sessions. I thought the session was very engaging. I think that's what attracts the right attendees to the show: the sessions, the education, and the fact that they're spread out. You kind of get a break, and you go to another one, and you go into the hall, you have a drink, and you go back. So, again, great showing for EMS 2026. We look forward. I think we're going back next year to the other hall. I know we'll be there, and I look forward for 2027 for sure. We're gonna kind of fast forward and go into another topic, before we hit this next segment. Next segment, I want to get a sponsorship by Bubbly. I'm kidding. Imagine if we had sponsors. Hey, by the way,
yeah.
if you want to sponsor this, like the investor that came to EMS, get it now when it's early and not expensive. This thing is going to take off. Yeah, so the next few months, obviously, our industry goes through waves as well, and it slows down a little bit. I can tell you we've slowed down, but I can tell you also on the flip side, we're getting this last minute request, and what the World Cup is bringing into the U.S. is going to be insanity. So I want to talk about that a little bit,
all right.
because we always felt, when we came into this industry, there's like a break in the summer,
Hmm.
like a well-deserved break.
Hmm.
I don't know if we're going to see it this year, if I'm being honest. So, thoughts?
I mean, you make a good point with the World Cup specifically, just because there's obviously going to be so many different pop-up activations and whatnot that brands are going to want to do at those, obviously, hopefully pretty big events. So I think you might be right on that one. That we'll see an uptick from that at the very least. Not to mention, of course, like, it's still summer, so there's like a lot of outdoor events and things like that are going on too. So I still expect there to be a healthy amount of event volume from that. But trade show side of things, yeah, I think we'll see a little bit of a lull like we usually see every year.
Yeah, and listen, the smart planners that are working on September, October events already, they're there. They're working on it. They're trying to figure things out now when it's slow. The World Cup event that been engaged with, are mostly agency focused. A lot of governments are involved, right? These are countries that are coming here and they're treating their market as almost like a mini sports show. We've got contracted by a few of those countries, and unfortunately for them, they just got the word about what venue they're going to be at, what space. So we're getting these requests very late in the game for us, but we're on the digital side. We put up a screen, we put it in a couple of days, no problem.
Yeah.
The structure side, building, I've seen some bids that require some really build outs, so that's going to be definitely interesting. But I think it will serve as a big push to the economy, and B, to our industry for sure. So
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think it's going to be a fun time for everyone regardless. So
I look forward to that. We are going to be doing this every week now, so get ready to see my face. If you haven't seen my face on LinkedIn enough, you're going to see it even more. But yeah.
We can start doing these live soon?
I'm okay. And even, you can tee up some questions. By the way, we added a basketball rim in our warehouse in Vegas. Been dominating everybody. We had some visitors here that I did not spare them. You come to my house, play basketball with me, you're going to have to deal with me. To everybody except for Lawrence Givens from eShow. I don't want to play you. But, it's going to be fun. Again, thank you for setting it up.
Yeah.
Happy long Memorial Weekend. I think we have events. Not sure. Maybe we're off. And yeah, we'll get this going and improve as we go.
Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah.